Hello and welcome to the Minimum Competence episode for Monday, October 28th, 2024. I'm your host for today, Andrew Leahy, a tax and technology attorney from New Jersey. On today's episode, we have Apple's $250 patent infringement win against Masimo, Alibaba's $433 million antitrust settlement, Republicans' election setbacks, and Elon Musk's NLRB court win. Let's remember, where there is no imagination, there is no horror, and read today's legal news. On this day in legal history, October 28, 1919, the United States Congress passed the Volstead Act, formerly known as the National Prohibition Act, over President Woodrow Wilson's veto. Named after Andrew Volstead, who championed it, the act provided the legal framework to enforce the 18th Amendment, which had been ratified earlier that year. This amendment prohibited the manufacture, sale, and transportation of intoxicating liquors, marking the start of the Prohibition era in the United States. The Volstead Act defined intoxicating liquor as any beverage containing more than 0.5% alcohol, which was stricter than many Americans had anticipated. Though the act aimed to curb alcoholism and reduce crime by eliminating the consumption of alcohol, it had some unintended consequences. A significant black market for alcohol immediately emerged, and illegal establishments known as speakeasies flourished in cities nationwide. Organized crime syndicates, most notably those led by figures like Al Capone, capitalized on the demand for alcohol, leading to a rise in criminal enterprises. Law enforcement agencies found it challenging to control the widespread defiance of prohibition, and corruption among officials became rampant as many officers accepted bribes to look the other way. Public sentiment gradually turned against prohibition as the social costs, including loss of tax revenue and an overwhelmed criminal justice system, began to outweigh the intended benefits. By 1933, the 21st Amendment was ratified, effectively repealing the 18th Amendment and ending prohibition. The Volstead Act remains a critical historical example of how complex societal problems cannot always be resolved through restrictive legislation alone, highlighting the challenges of enforcing morality laws on a resistant population. A federal jury in Delaware awarded Apple $250 in damages, ruling that Masimo Corp's original smartwatch designs infringed on Apple's patents for the Apple Watch. The verdict reflects a limited win for Apple, as the jury found that only Masimo's discontinued designs, not its current products, infringed Apple's design patents. Apple's minimal damages request was a strategic move to secure a jury trial rather than a bench trial, emphasizing its desire to stop Masimo's alleged copying of Apple Watch features, not to seek financial compensation. Apple's legal team highlighted its innovation in smartwatch design, while Masimo's attorneys argued that Masimo's products were built around its pulse oximetry technology, unrelated to the design patents at issue. Masimo countered Apple's claims by defending the novelty of its blood oxygen measurement features and asserting that its designs prioritize functionality over aesthetics, unlike Apple's approach. Masimo attempted to avoid a jury trial by offering Apple a $900 cash payment, which Apple rejected, and the court ruled the case must proceed. The jury ultimately found that Masimo intentionally infringed 2 Apple design patents related to earlier product models, but ruled out any infringement related to Masimo's current items, undermining Apple's case for an injunction. Alibaba Group has agreed to pay $433.5 million to settle a securities fraud class action filed by investors in Manhattan federal court. The lawsuit, which began in 2020, accused Alibaba of misleading shareholders about its competitive practices and the failed initial public offering of Ant Group, its financial technology affiliate known for the digital payment platform Alipay. Shareholders claimed Alibaba misrepresented its business practices and failed to disclose that it faced a significant $2.8 billion antitrust fine from Chinese regulators for allegedly pressuring merchants to sell exclusively on its platform. Though Judge George B. Daniels previously dismissed the claims related to the Ant IPO, he allowed the antitrust allegations to proceed. The $433.5 million settlement ranks among the largest 50 securities class action settlements in U.S. history under the Private Securities Litigation Reform Act of 1995. Alibaba maintains its denial of wrongdoing, stating it settled to avoid the costs and burdens of prolonged litigation. The settlement requires court approval, with Glancy, Prongay, and Murray LLP representing the shareholders and Simpson Thacher defending Alibaba. As the U.S. presidential election nears, Republicans aligned with Donald Trump have faced multiple legal setbacks in battleground states, hindering their push for tighter election restrictions. Over the past 3 weeks, courts in Georgia, Virginia, Arizona, Nevada, North Carolina, and Michigan have blocked Republican-led initiatives, such as attempts to purge voter rolls and mandate hand-counting ballots. Notably, a Georgia judge invalidated 7 rule changes proposed by Trump's allies, ruling them unlawful and too close to Election Day to implement. Virginia also halted the removal of allegedly non-citizen voters, with the judge citing federal laws against voter roll purges within 90 days of an election. In contrast, Republicans recently succeeded in enforcing stricter mail-in ballot deadlines in Mississippi. Despite setbacks, the party maintains its legal strategy aims to ensure election integrity, though experts suggest these efforts might instead be designed to spread doubts about the election's legitimacy. Analysts speculate that if Trump loses, these legal actions could fuel claims of fraud, casting doubt on the outcome. A divided Fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that the National Labor Relations Board, or NLRB, overreached by ordering Tesla CEO Elon Musk to delete a 2018 tweet about unionization. The tweet implied Tesla employees could lose stock options if they unionized, which the NLRB previously determined was an unlawful threat. However, the court's 9-8 decision held that Musk's tweet was protected under the First Amendment as it was speech on a topic of public concern, making the NLRB's deletion order excessive. The majority opinion, supported by Republican-appointed judges, did not address whether Musk's tweet itself violated labor law, focusing instead on free speech rights. The ruling also instructed the NLRB to reconsider its mandate that Tesla reinstate a pro-union employee who was terminated. In a dissent, Judge James Dennis, joined by Democratic-appointed judges, criticized the decision as lacking substantial legal and factual grounding. And with that, and as always, I thank you so much for listening to Minimum Competence, your daily news podcast for lawyers. If you're looking for more than Minimum Competence, links to further reading on all the topics touched on today are in the show notes, and reviews go a long way towards helping new listeners to find our show. If you have a moment, leave a rating or review on your podcast player. We'd sure appreciate it. And if you know someone that might be interested in a story we cover, consider sending them the episode. But remember, nothing here should be construed as legal advice because it is certainly not that. Minimum Competence is available at minimumcomp.com and wherever you get your finely crafted podcasts. If you haven't checked out the website in a while, give it a look. There are complete transcripts and resources for each episode and its corresponding segments, as well as an opportunity to receive new episodes in email, newsletter, form. We'll see you back here tomorrow, and until then, remember, on Halloween, witches come true, wild ghosts escape from dreams, each monster dances in the park.